My question to you guys is, what this is, I don't know if this has ever been done. Let's just call it a spade, right? Because even half of the people, or more than half of the people that you guys said were the couple of the culture, you don't hear shit about Beyonce outside of that album. Jay-Z doesn't even have social media. And heaven forbid if everything is edited from the Obamas, that doesn't make them bad or worse. But it's like,
it's curated.
How do you protect, just the brand? You feel me? Because this is my question. You being who you are, being a person that's married, does that affect the people who you hang around with? And like for both parts, it's like, where you going? Oh, I'm going to Cam house. Cam. No, I don't like him. He know I don't like him. And matter of fact, you ain't going no more. You got these boys that, does he have people that you are in question of, or does she have people that you're in question of? Because it goes both ways.
You can answer that.
No, I don't. I will say, I know there's a bro code, so I'm sure whatever happens with the homies stays with
Absolutely.
you and the homies. But at the same time, too, I think that I know Devale is a person who's not easily influenced by anybody else. This man is his own self.
Always been.
And he moves in his own purpose and he moves in his own manner. And not even I can sometimes convince him to do things differently if he's dead set on a particular way. So, you do have your friends that are single, you have your friends that are married, you have your friends that are in situationships, on the in-between, but it never really affects how I see him or me giving him, quote unquote, permission to do something. Like, have you ever heard the term allowing, like your spouse allowing you to do something? And the word allow tends to just make people—
It's a trigger.
It's a trigger. It's
triggered.
Very triggering.
And we never allow each other to do anything because we're both individuals and we treat each other as such. So he's able to and fully able to do anything that he wants to do. The respect component comes in by running it by me.
But it's the same question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she can do what she want to do. I don't have no problem with none of her friends, single, married. It doesn't matter to me. I got to give people choices. You have a choice to make, to decide what you want to do.
Right.
I can't create your choices and then feel like it's honest if you're here.
Yeah.
I want you to wake up every morning and want to be here because you want to be here. If I start making rules and saying don't do this and do that, then I feel like I got a pet.
Right.
I don't want a pet. I want a companion.
Did you come from this? Are your parents still together?
Yeah, both of my parents are
our
together.
parents are still together.
Okay.
Yes.
As in,
do you think that played a intricate piece of why you guys are still together?
I'll say this. Watching my parents, watching her parents, there were parts of that marriage that we both said we don't want to be like them.
Okay.
So this is the interesting part. People think that if you grow up in a household with both your parents, you see marital bliss. Kids see everything.
Right.
Kids hear everything.
More than what they acknowledge to.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure.
And I grew up, there were times I was just like, man, I ain't never get married. Based on, the things you hear. When your parents are going through financial issues, they're going through stuff and they don't think the kids are listening, they screaming at each other or they going back and forth. You're like, why would I ever?
Woman!
Shut the... Yo, for real, it's like, why would I sign up for this?
Get back.
Yeah. And then your parents, you are the first person your parents vent to when you become an adult.
Right.
So I grew up and she did the same thing. She grew up the same way. You get to be
reversal.
about 17, 18, then your mom is like, oh, your father. And it's like nag, nag, nag. Then your pops come, you know how your mom is and it's nag, nag. It's like, man, I ain't gonna never wanna live like this. So I made choices with my marriage to not be like that. And she did the same thing.
Yeah, people like to throw around the term, generational trauma and curses and things like that. Seeing, for example, my parents growing up over the years, there was a very clear, because I'm the oldest of three, a very clear transition with which they went from being this couple who I idolized and was just like, wow, I can't wait to one day have this, to then eventually become, how did y'all even end up together?
Yeah.
Like, they say opposites attract, but this shit right here ain't it.
This ain't healthy.
And as an adult, I had even said to them at one point, like, y'all sure you don't want to just like call it quits and just get a divorce and you go there and you go there. That way I'm not getting.
Fuck it, I'm gonna pull the cord. God
got there.
Listen,
There was times she was like,
and just over it,
almost
because
in
then
tears, like, I
it
can't
became a
watch
burden for me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm not taking a side saying mom is right or dad's right. It was just like both of y'all are doing some fucked up shit, and both of y'all have points.
Right.
So as an adult and as a human, I've learned to give my parents some grace, but in the same breath, be like, Devale, bro, this communication thing that my parents and my family never does, that can never be a thing for us.
Yeah.
I don't know how to communicate effectively, and I had to be honest with him about that over the years, and it's something I'm still unpacking and still working on, how to effectively communicate myself when taking some of the emotion out of it and not just flying off the handle and being emotional because I want to be and I don't know how to express myself. It's something we're still working on to this day, and it's something my parents never exercised or encouraged. So those are the things that we're working on as a married couple within our marriage, and then also with our children. Like, we're not just saying do as I say, not as I do, or you because you're 4 or 5 or 6 years old, you don't have the right to express yourself. Those are things that we take very seriously now.
It's 2 things that I really want to highlight that you guys just covered. Number 1, I believe in this, right? I believe that love is not bondage. Love is not control.
That's facts.
Love is not shackles. Love is not imprisonment. Love is freedom. Love is
freedom.
Yes.
Like, this works so seamless in our relationship that I'm filling your cup up, you're filling my cup up, and I want to do that. You don't got no gun in my head. Fill my cup up, motherfucker.
No, for real.
You know what I'm saying?
For real.
But at the same time, I say where you guys come from is important, because the biggest situation or the issue that I have with people that say, man, I'm looking for Mr. Right, you ain't it, so good night. You dig? No, it's more or less like, okay, babe, let's just keep it a buck. You want to find your, Prince Charming, but your parents weren't together. That's not an issue. The issue is you don't surround yourself with the health of knowing, as an example, to see what is it like to be in a healthy relationship or a working relationship. And when people aren't in that environment where it's like, okay, cool, I'm married, I got married friends and I got single friends. But my married friends, I'm able to cope with them to say, man, listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. Me and Devale, we're going through some shit right now. And to respect what we're going through, like, girl, tell me, like, get me over the mountain, girl, because that's needed. Because as a dude, I ain't gonna sit up here and lie. Right? I have 5 figures in my life that are married that if they fuck up, it's gonna crush me. Right? And I got more individuals that live this life of like, bruh, where you at? And it's like, what Mike Epps said, that nigga don't act like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, bro, if you hang around single bachelors as a married man, that's a disaster waiting to happen. Because eventually, you're going to be in a situation where y'all don't see eye to eye. And that person that you're coping with can't even cope with what you got going on. And a lot of times we take advice from people that aren't even credible.
I'll challenge that a little bit, right? One of my close friends, I used to vent to her all the time, is my boy Dolo. Dolo's not married. He's engaged now.
Right.
But Dolo's never been, he used to be the guy, I'm never getting married. He was the guy that go on trips, guy trips, be gone for weeks. He's an entrepreneur, makes his own money, right? But when I used to hit up Dolo and be like, man, I'm going to, he's the one that used to be like, hey, you need to calm down. Like, you got a good woman. He's the one that'll speak life and power into me and kind of talk me off the edge. Because we've been together since 18. That ain't no easy road. Like 18, there was a time between 18 and 25 where I was a motherfucker. I talk about this all the time, right? My ego was huge. I was also very insecure because I was a walk-on in college. I was a free agent tryout in the NFL. I always felt like I had to prove. Which means I always had to walk in with my bravado and my ego first. That was a detriment to my relationship because everything I did outside in the world, I took it home because that's who you become. It wasn't until we had our second son, Cairo, that I started to realize, like, I got to change my behavior if I really want to elevate. And I'm not even talking about elevate financially. I just meant elevate as a person. Bro. You spend so much time dealing with bullshit and trying to be who everyone else is telling you should be that you don't even like who you become once you become that. And then I started to look around my friends and realize, like, I know there's certain people here who got my best interests. Whether they married or not, divorced, single, I'm going to talk to them. The other people, they my friends, but if I'm going through something,
this ain't the best,
I'm not
this ain't
talking
the best
to you.
legal counsel.
I'm not. You not the one. I'm not. Nah.
This ain't Johnny Cochran.
Right,
this
right,
is
right.
Cock Nim. You know what I'm
Right. This is some cock bullshit.
You know what I'm saying?
But and you have to have discernment as a man.
Right.
As a man, you know who you can listen to and who you can't. You
The
know what I'm
same
saying?
goes for women, because you know your friends who are just glutton for punishment and they are in misery and they just
Yeah.
want you to be in misery as
Yeah.
well. And then you have to reassess,
Yeah.
is this person even a friend or not?
Right.
But with Devale and I think the big shift happened for us in our relationship is like the patriarchy tells you what you should expect from a marriage, what you should be as a wife, what you should be as a husband. And this is stuff that we unpack more in our book. Just really trying to like think about the figures we had around us. You spoke about our parents, for example, who have been whatever kind of example they were to us in marriage. Then you have this idea of like, well, as a wife, I should be doing these things. As a husband, he should be doing these things. Well, we never consult each other who's in the marriage on what exactly the needs are that should be met.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Devale and I literally made the choice. And he started this and I followed suit because I realized how much more it assisted me in my mentality when it came to marriage and choice. He said, Kay, do you know that when I wake up in the morning, before I do anything, after giving thanks to God for another day, I say to myself, how can I make this day easier or better for Khadeen? Mm-hmm. And when he told me that, I was almost in tears because I'm like, shit. When I wake up, it's just like,
I asked her. I said, you think the same for me?
And I was like, I don't. I think about deadlines that need to be met. I'm checking my calendar, you know, who needs what deadline to be met, you know, what kid has what appointment, and who's on the bottom of that totem pole. The one person who sole purpose is to make sure and deserves to make sure that, you know, I should be making sure that he's okay. Right. So when he told me that, I was like almost in tears, and I was like, I cannot believe that for so many years, I'm thinking I'm doing all the things and I'm juggling, but I'm constantly asking him to understand. Yeah. You should understand because you see I'm stressed. You should understand because you see I'm pregnant. You should understand because you see I'm busy. But at the same time, I was like, when are you, Khadeen, gonna now clock out of that and clock into your husband? Yeah. And that's when things became astronomically better for us.
That's crazy, and that's a big gem right there. I think where as a society we kind of get, and I made the mistake, and I use that not as a scar, but as a star to use my platform to acknowledge that I made a mistake, right? And I spoke on, you know, women and men empowerment, right? Mm-hmm. And my question goes off of what I said. I spoke on this speaking about women and bad bitches and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, well, we don't need this and we don't need that. And that was completely, I didn't get to explain what I really meant. I've explained it multiple times and I'm gonna explain it again. It's like, it's not necessarily that I meant that we need more women or more bad bitches. It's more or less like, we gotta be better for our partners.
Absolutely.
And if it takes the man to shut the fuck up and listen to your woman because you got a rider with you, bro, shut the fuck up, bro. Put your ego in your back pocket, bro, and keep that motherfucker there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then as a woman, it's like, bro, like, I can't fight the world and then come home and fight you too. Like, that's warfare. You see what I'm saying? So.